Well, hello everybody. Welcome to another installment. Our next episode with Latanya Taylor and myself, Sensei Sabira. We are here for another week of Money Charm. We are here for another week of our Money Charm show. So, welcome. Last week was really interesting, was it not, Latanya?
Yes, it was very interesting.
Last week was really interesting, guys. And it kind of gave us the fodder for this week. So, as it turned out, both Latanya and I were feeling under the weather. And as spiritpreneurs, we had a decision to make, a choice to make.
Yeah.
And the choice that we came up with was to take care of ourselves. Who takes care of the motivator, who motivates the motivator, who takes care of the one who's taking care of everyone else? And 9 times out of 10 women, that is probably you. So we want to talk about that this week. Now that both Latanya and I are back and feeling 100%. So Latanya, say hello to our tribe.
Hey, everybody. We missed you last week. It felt funny not broadcasting, but here we are at 100% ready to give you what we got.
Absolutely. So listen, guys, the way we want to do this, and I think you're going to really enjoy it. Latanya and I, if you hadn't picked up on it or not yet, we kind of go at life from a little bit different ends of the polarity. If you look at Latanya's her logo, you will see Latanya is a butterfly. Look, y'all, don't she even laugh like a butterfly? Latanya is a butterfly. Latanya is, she's vivacious and effervescent, and she is charm for sure. And it's an outward, like you see it, you feel it, it oozes off of her. I, on the other hand, am kind of much more quiet and inside, and at least the outward expression of me. I can, and I have taught myself to be a little bit more extroverted, but by nature, I am an introvert. I'm that one that can sit in the cave and sit in my home for weeks and weeks and never talk to a soul and be all right. Latanya loves the energy of out there with people. But I think what's similar, Latanya, with us both is that we both find, right, that when we go out into the world, if we haven't taken care of ourselves, both of us can get zapped. Would you agree?
I definitely agree. Especially a misnomer about an empath, or excuse me, an extrovert, is that element of the empath. And I'm an empath. Mm-hmm. So it's very, very easy for me to blow my circuits.
Good.
So
good.
Even though I love interacting with people, I have to take care of my energetic body, because when I don't take care of my energetic body, my physical body manifested very quickly. And the more that I have evolved in my spiritual walk, and I would even say my spiritual independence and my economic independence, I have to be more responsible for what I emit and what I receive, so that I can continue to transmit.
Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one. Yeah, so that's what we want to, the show we want to bring to you all today. We want to actually have a conversation with you about who is motivating you. How are you filling yourself up when you go out into the world and give in the ways that you do? How do you know when you're being depleted? Do you know what activities deplete you? What are your bells and whistles that go off, the inner symbols um, that are letting you're getting tired. Um, and how do you respond to those? And why is that important? And we're gonna leave you with some tools, some things that we do that very well may help you in navigating through these seas of requirements that the world will have of you, your customers, your clients. You got to show up at 100%. How do you do that, or close to that as much as possible? So let's go ahead and get started. I think the jumping off point, Latanya, that I'd like us to explore is, what is it to be an introvert or an extrovert? And how does that show up in our business interactions? And I know that we're not 100% introvert or extrovert. But let's get clear about those definitions first, that language, and kind of go from there, so people can identify who they are mostly, maybe, and how that might show up for them.
Okay. Well, one of the things that I always share with people who are participating in the Juicy Spirit Awaken process or private coaching is the value of knowing your natal chart. And it's one of the reasons why I do natal chart readings, because everything that we have heard languaged in corporate America as Myers-Briggs and other personality assessment charts, the Enneagram, all of that goes back to the wheel of what we know as the natal chart. But the wheel is really the foundation of everything, even medicine, the wheel as we know it. And sometimes when you have been taught in a religion, to forsake these things, but yet you don't know that you're picking it up in other forms that are just packaged for you. But the reason why we're not 100% either or is because of that natal positioning. Now, you're not ever stuck. Your life lessons and your experiences and your choices feed your ability to shift at any moment. And there are some people who are far more introverted in business than we know. I'll give you a good example. When one of my other lives, entrepreneur and service lives, is working in a digital inclusion program for the Office of the Chief Technology Office in Washington, D.C. And one of the things that I learned so quickly, not easy, is being in a tech environment, in a building with nothing but techies. That most tech people who are tech focused, numbers focused, they tend to be very introverted. I'm almost like you know how they say I can't make this ish up. Like, honestly, you're on mute. I don't know if you know you're on mute, Sabira. Okay, cool. Literally, we learn how in some tech divisions, they have to be taught how to interact with people because it's not their forte. And one of the things that, my specialty is implementing visions for individuals in my coaching practice. But when I work with businesses, I help to implement their vision, their program vision. And one of the things that we had to do was a community outreach type of program. It involved working with the community. Well, the techies had never done that. They only dealt with the bottom line. And there was some training that had to take place for someone that is very tech centered, because they communicate a certain way. they interact a certain way. Well, why is that important? How does that have to do with your health? Because if you are an entrepreneur and your business model requires a skill set that you haven't developed, sometimes you may bump into yourself, and it can affect either your mental health or your physical health, and certainly it can affect your bottom line. And knowing what your business model, when you have an extroverted business but you're an introvert, that's very important to know. Would you say, Sabira? Okay.
I would. I'm sorry. Yes, it is. And that, I mean, that speaks to me. That speaks to me. I have to, there are things that I have to do sometimes to kind of get my head in the game, so to speak. And I have had to train myself to be comfortable out in the world, because that's not my number, my innate place of comfort.
Well, you all might be surprised. I do love fellowship. I love socializing. I love being around people. But it took me years to know that I was an empath. I mean, it was something that I stumbled upon much later in my life. And it literally being an empath affects everything. And oftentimes spiritual entrepreneurs are very empathic because usually they're offering something from their spiritual gifts. I know that when we talk about spiritual entrepreneurs, we are also including those who have products, because making products, giving a technical service can be pretty straightforward. But when your heart is in anything, you're going to feel things deeper. And the key for that we're talking about today, because I'm a both. Even though I appear to the world as this social butterfly, I spend a lot more time now alone on the computer, planning, and having to do a lot more details than I'm used to, because in my corporate life, in my corporate identity, I manage the vision. But now as an entrepreneur, I'm not only managing the vision, I'm managing myself primarily, and I'm managing all of the itty bitty details of the vision. And one of the things Sabir and I, when we were chatting, were talking about is if you feel this call on your life, if you are not already in your business and working your business model, one of the things Sabir and I were talking about is when you decide to be an entrepreneur, there is a shift that is required in how you think. We have already talked about that a little bit in most of our broadcasts already. But what we didn't talk about so much is the long hours, the overwhelm, sometimes the burnout, the disappointment, the worry, and the anxiety that comes with being an entrepreneur. Now, I understand that there are some people who are natural born hustles. They love adrenaline. They get off on the adrenaline. So I am not talking to you. However, I will say to you that you burn out too. The adrenaline junkie burns out too. And it doesn't mean because you're an adrenaline junkie and you like the hustle that you aren't spiritual. I would say that those who love the hustle crash and burn harder. But
Absolutely.
we were talking about just how, when you come in, everybody says that they want to be an entrepreneur. I want my own business. I don't want to go and report to anybody. And that can be a why that motivates you. But once you get on the other side, and if you're doing it and you're doing it afraid, fear alone can create a plethora of illnesses in the body. Not to mention when you start to become disappointed because you don't hit the number, or you're worried about how you're going to pay your bills, and you have to continuously be a generator. That's what I would like to emphasize, is that an entrepreneur is a generator. You're creative, you're a generator. So that in many ways you become an engine. And so what happens when you don't put gas in your engine? What happens when you don't change your oil? What happens when your transmission fluid is low? Now, you know that we're talking in spiritual terms here. My husband told me last week I use my hands and I create all this blur with my camera, but I can't help myself.
You gotta, all the energy running through you. You gotta move. You gotta move.
I can't help myself. I'm trying, just sitting here and talking to you like that is not me.
It is not gonna work. It's not gonna work. It's not gonna work.
But go ahead, Tamir. I know you have, you can really explain that generator.
Wow. You know, it's funny because one of my favorite words, and I love words, one of my favorite words is creator. And when I got clear that, you know, and also artist, right? And as I got clear that as a spiritpreneur, we are actually living artists. Our business is our canvas. So there, you know, we're actually able to go in, and as we're learning technology, I mean, like computers, software, these are things, I'm telling you, Latanya, hours, literally years to learn, to shift my gray matter to understand this technology that I'm using. It took years of investment where there was no financial benefit coming out, but there was so much energy for me sitting at a computer, whether it was listening to webinars or you know, teleconferences, because I knew I had to master these things, and that it wasn't, the computer was not an innate thing for me. I'm a physical person. So what comes easy for me is, you know, going to work out in any kind of capacity. So I had to learn, first of all, it took energy just to sit at a computer and engage with whatever the information was, whatever the rays are coming out of the computer at me. And I was like, am I going crazy? But every time I leave this computer, I'm like, I'm zapped. And I understood that even sitting at a computer zaps your energy. But it was an investment that I had to make. It was a sacrifice I had to make to learn the things I needed to learn to create what I saw in my mind. And it's an ongoing process. So when I began to see myself as a creator, I love the word that you use, Latanya, a generator, that, you know, I had to sit still and allow things to come up and through me, because it is a creative process. And all of that takes a lot of energy. So you have to have time where you unplug. You know, unplug from people, unplug from the computer, unplug from Facebook and all the other social media, because all these things are energetically pulling on you. You know, a generator, even an actual generator, can only run so long. You got to unplug the physical generator after a while, and you know, it's only going to go for so long. A car is only going to run so long. Any piece of technology. And believe it or not, we are pieces of technology in this universe. We are technology. We are human technology. So,
Yes,
mhm.
I would even go further to say that our business, our entrepreneurships are living organisms. Your
Yes.
ministry is a living organism.
Mhm.
And if just like we use the analogy of the generator and an engine, now, those of you definitely who are in healthcare, or any mind, body, spirit, it's a living organism. People will tell you in traditional models, don't take it personal, take the emotion out of your business. To me, that's a lie. And it goes against everything that I am and how I'm built. And so what happens is, for the spiritual entrepreneur, I'm going to come close to you because I want you to hear this. You cannot do things the ordinary way. And I can't tell you how much coaching that I have gotten from even women who are using a traditional model. I'll give you an example. And I am gonna name drop. Yeah, I am.
You gonna do that, Latanya?
I'm gonna name drop.
Oh, she gonna name drop, y'all. Watch out, watch out.
Everybody who comes into the coaching industry, most of the time they want to be like Anthony Robinson, or Robbins, whatever his name is.
Tony Robbins. Tony Robbins.
Yes, and his real name, birth name,
Anthony.
Anthony. But Tony Robbins. He became Tony. I remember when he was Anthony.
Mhm.
T. Harv Eckert, and the list goes on. And many people have gotten coaching from these men. The reason that we are motivated to do this is because we know that there is a segment of you who, when you try to do it that way, you feel like you're fighting up against yourself. And not to mention, when you don't have the outcomes that they have, you beat yourself up. I've been there, done that, got the t-shirt. And it's nothing wrong with you. It is that, it's when you are called for a purpose and set aside for a certain thing in a certain season, it's just like selecting a mate. You can't just go and be with anybody, right? And if you are doing that, hit me up for a free consultation.
Yeah, we got problems, Houston. We got problems. That's a whole other woo.
But it's the same thing with even if you are doing an exit plan on your job, like you're preparing to exit, and let's say you want to increase your salary, and because your ultimate goal is to launch a particular business, or you're looking for a promotion, so you'll have a little extra to invest in your business. When you go on an interview, do you interview the employer? Or do you think that that's one way? That is how we have to look at everything that we are aligning ourselves with. How does it fit? This is why knowing your vision is so important. And it is the cornerstone of my private coaching. Because when you know your vision, your vision becomes a living entity. Now, when you beat up on yourself, when you are pushing and comparing yourself, or you're getting burnt out doing it in a way that doesn't sustain who you truly are, what do you think happens to your body? I know for me, I'll get headaches. I'll have low energy levels. Sometimes my menstrual cycle is it can be more painful, which is a whole nother line of we have to have some guests on to talk about this. But when we start talking about our menstrual cycles and they're extremely painful, or lower back pain or back pain, because there's a mind, body, spirit connection to everything that we're doing. Even, and I think I shared with you all very early in our broadcast, I think it was this series. I don't know. You have to check. You got to watch them all to find out. But I remember that fibroids, even it doesn't just represent emotions that you've stuffed and not held and not expressed, but it also can represent unbirthed visions, aborted visions, aborted plans. Because talking to the woman, because we're talking to women here, the womb's job is to nurture. The breast nurture, they're nurturing organs. So when we are not we're nurturing everything else outside of ourselves, like a business, and not taking care of ourselves, and we start to experience imbalances in nurturing organs, it's a sign for us that we have to unplug. I really do love technology and playing with different things to a degree, but I know that there's a better way than being plugged into all these sources. I think my theory is that most of these social media outlets are social engineering. And so we have to take charge of our own life force as spiritual entrepreneurs so that we can continue to expand and create the money, my own natural energy yield, because we are still talking about my own natural energy yield. We're talking about money.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Let me just jump in real quick here, Latanya. You said so many like meaty things. So
that's why I shut my mouth.
Let me see if I can chomp on one piece at a time. It was so good. So I want to talk about, when I was a kid, I was a lot of the times you would see children called high energy, especially today. They call them high energy, and they give them, a diagnosis of ADD and put them on medication to basically dumb them down, if you ask me, rather than allowing children to be children, which is allow their energy to flow.
Mm-hmm.
Allow them to be creative beings. Look at that, y'all. Create. That was not on purpose. Isn't that beautiful? I believe in the word. I love that word, create. Even when you're trying not to create, it's impossible not to create. When you're thinking, you are creating. You are creating in the dream state.
Yes.
So when you close your eyes, you're still working stuff out. If you went to bed and you were thinking about something, and you are still creating, you are still generating, you are still pumping and pushing out into this infinite field that we live in. And so it is so important to be aware of that. But what I was saying about high energy, it is, however, not possible to sustain high energy all the time. It's not even healthy to do that. It's not even healthy. I will tell you, the way that I used to live, I would go and go and go until I ran into a brick wall. And that would be what would stop me. I would go hard charging. I'd hit a wall, and that would be like, okay, that's my sign. It's time for me to shut down.
Mm-hmm.
But it would almost be like someone had just unplugged me, because you just run into a wall.
Right.
And so I was forced to unplug. Meanwhile, when you hit a brick wall, what happens? Your face is all bruised and bashed up and could be bloody and could have some I was a mess. I did not know how to be responsible with my energy. I did not know how to modulate my own natural energy yield. And that's no different than, let's look at another form of energy. Okay. Money, cash. Let's look at cash. If you spend and spend and spend, eventually, especially if you're not living as a creator, if you are living as a consumer and all you're doing is taking, you're just on the go, whether that's shopping or whatever, you're eventually going to run out of cash. Now, you're not necessarily going to run out of your own natural energy yield. That's not possible because it's inside you. It comes from inside you. But you can run out of cash. You run out of cash, that's like hitting that brick wall. And pretty soon, what are you doing? You're bouncing checks. You're paying late fees. You are giving more than what you took in.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. In my 20s, that's how I lived. I was just like, what? I got checks still? Ooh, let me keep writing. I had no concept of I need to look at what I have stored. And I need to always be creating so that I can replenish. I didn't have concept of that. Today I do. The cancer visitation gave me the biggest unplug. And at the time I did not appreciate it when I was, at the beginning of it. But about 6 months, 8 months into it, I was like, you know what? This is actually a blessing. Because I was given I gave myself the opportunity to course correct, to redirect, to learn how to actually move energy within me, around me, learn that I could actually bring my generative energy down so that I could hear and see and feel and reprogram myself, decide on, how is the vision looking today with who I am today?
Mm-hmm.
And re-engineer the vision. And what happened was when I came out the other side of that downtime, oh baby, oh baby, it's a whole new me with a vision that has a whole new bling and ring to it and is much more efficient and aligned with the truth of who I believe who I've always been, but didn't know it until I took the time to go inside and give myself that downtime and kind of plug into myself. Another thing you said I want to hit on, aborted. You talked about fibroids being aborted visions. And one of the things that I think, I look at artists who are not able to, who believe that their art will not sustain and support them. And I don't buy into that because I know if it comes from within you, it will sustain you. You have to learn to put systems and structures around it. However, your own natural energy yield will sustain and support you. That's what money is for. But I believe that belief system, that whatever it is we naturally love, our natural calling, our avocation, not being able to do that for the majority of our day out of fear that it will not sustain and support us, I believe that leads to things like depression. I believe people, will experience different forms of depression from those aborted ideas that you give up on, that you push to the back burner, to the side, or just say, I can't do this because I got to make a living. I got to earn a living. You don't have to earn a living. The fact that you live is your living. However, there, like I was saying, right, LaTanya, there are things that you have to learn to put around yourself that will support that and help you, get that out into the marketplace. And a big, big part of that is your self-care and where you go for motivation for yourself.
Yeah, how you fill your cup up. And then there's a real piece that I hope that we will get into in the Money Charm Club. I'm pretty sure we will, which is a lot of times people stay on jobs, for instance, who know, and I know I did it, even as a minister, and sometimes you're an author, or what have you, is you say, I need the health insurance. And one of the things that I have become more aware of is, of course, the more conscious that I've gotten about certain things that are happening in commerce with our food, and how we are sacrificed. Our life is sacrificed, particularly in the U.S. For instance, there are countries now who are not allowing GMO foods you cannot even cross their borders. There's seeds that, there are certain brands and foods that are considered poison in other countries, right?
Yes.
But we eat it. So, if you haven't had an illness, don't let when we talk about not conforming and we talk about spiritual consciousness and that type of thing, we're talking about the whole kit and caboodle, so that you're not made afraid. And sometimes the fear mongering extends into things like that, because it helps you to delay actualizing your vision. What I've challenged myself to do is, when I go to buy organic foods or herbs, and the price is a little elevated, I always say to myself, LaTanya, you pay now or you pay later.
That's right.
And so I choose, LaTanya, we choose to pay now. We choose to demonstrate that we are worth the investment. So either you're going to make the investment in your mental health, your physical health, and your spiritual health, whether it be through coaching and learning, or whether it be through a trainer and exercise, whether it be through learning new ways to experience nutrition and flavors and food. I'm a foodie. I love gourmet food. Don't anybody write in and say I can tell.
Our tribe loves us.
Yeah, but you pay now or you pay later, and I just recently had an experience. I got to tell you, just as an example of self-care. I had been delaying taking care of a tooth. I literally have been feeling the tooth myself. Yes, I had been feeling. I was playing dentist, and not for 3 months, 9 months. I am talking years. I'm telling on myself. I've been feeling this tooth.
Yeah.
Because even though I was working a job, I did not have the kind of health care. Dental health care tends to be one of the worst in the U.S. in terms of full plan. So I had already had some experiences with, I had a horrible experience with a dentist where I lost some teeth, right? So I go to the dentist recently, in Costa Rica, and my tooth, as bad as the condition is, it is not root canal worthy. It's not even, I don't even have to pull it.
Wow.
And it is in worse condition than the other teeth that had root canals. Y'all, it's a business.
Wow.
I highly, highly recommend. Oh gosh, I'll put the link in the description. It just escaped me, but it's a documentary created by Sonia Barrett, The Business of Disease. The Business of Disease.
Let me write that down.
Oh my God, yes. It is a business. The things that we don't think we know about hysterectomies that were unnecessary for a whole generation of women that had hysterectomies that they didn't need. We know about women who have C-sections that they didn't have to have, but the doctors get more because of the partnership between them, the healthcare, the insurance industry, and doctors. We know about that. However, This extends to much, much more. And so I say that to say, look at the places that you are terrorizing yourself as well. Because if you're living the life and creating the business that you want to with deliberate intent and deliberate actions, right? Then you will be able to have the income to go and get the care and services that you need. And there are other services and other ways. We met people here in Costa Rica that take health care and dental vacations.
I was going to mention that. And I read about that, Latanya, in Tim Ferriss's book, the whatever hour work week.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember the name. It's the something, it's like short, a 10-hour work week or something like that. The next time we're on here, guys, I will have the name of that book and we'll have a link for you. It's a great resource guide, and he got me thinking and understanding the way, people who have a laptop lifestyle, because they are untethered to a cubicle, literally they'll do the things that you just said, which is, hey, I need dental work done. Let me go to Costa Rica for the month, and work from Costa Rica and get work done on my teeth. Or they'll find out that, another country has really good ophthalmology care and go down there and get their eyes done. And like we live in this very small world of options when we live in this fear place that keeps us hooked into jobs that doesn't allow us to expand and grow. Now, again, I'm not saying that that's a bad thing for everybody.
Right.
But for those of us for those of you out there who are in our tribe, who know you are a creator, who know you are a generator of ideas, of visions, who know you want to live, you desire to live from a place of conscious creation, intention, and authority. Mm-hmm. Where your inner authority is what drives you. That's who we're talking to. Your inner authority authorizes you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So when that happens, when it happened for me, and I'm sure, Latanya, for you, it was probably at least similar, that you stop seeing your business as separate. You realize, oh, this is an outgrowth of who I am. So it becomes impossible. You wake up and your business is right there. You go to sleep and your ideas are still churning around in your mind, or who you need to contact. And there is no separation. There's only one thing going on. And that is you living a life aligned with the truth of who you are. That's it.
And I want to jump in.
Yeah.
Just real quick right there is, sometimes we forget, that we are creating new legacies in our life and in our family. So one thing that we say with regards to health is it runs in my family. Sometimes you got to tell that thing to keep on running, pass you by.
Yeah.
But when it comes to business, though, again, if you're not a natural born hustler, and we're talking, and you were talking, and you said something really powerful about, that indicated a mind shift, because when you're a generator, you have to shift from having an employee mindset, even with your business. So you don't have finite times with your business. Sometimes it's a run on. And it's very important for your family to understand that. That's why selecting mates, it's important for you to understand that. And for me, with working with women, it's important for you to understand how your sensuality, your sexuality, and pleasure play a role in creating more income or creating more ideas. Or because if you're disconnected from your sensuality, your sexuality, then you are disconnected from generative, creative energy.
Yes.
And so for many of us, we are having to learn how to be entrepreneurs because we come from a model of people who oftentimes retired on their jobs, or prior to that, they had to survive. They were on farms or factories. Most of us come from generations of people who worked the land, or who worked in factories, or who worked on the railroad, or who worked, come on now. Let's call these ancestors in here, because they didn't have, they didn't have the options that we have. That's and right. We're still operated on outdated DNA. And
you better say that. You better say that.
And so so what if you're the one that has to do it? It can be lonely as an entrepreneur, but it doesn't have to be, and I guess that's what we can start talking about is some remedy. Yeah. First, it doesn't have to be remedy. As Sabir and I talk, our partnership happened very organically. It happened so naturally because we found ourselves, first of all, we already had the spiritual alignment. We already had the agreement about who we were being individually in the world. It didn't have to match, but we had an agreement. So we had a natural sacred sisterhood. So we are sisterpreneurs. And so I know that I can call her when I'm scared, when I'm anxious about specifically my business. And for women, if you're not in a relationship with someone who is an entrepreneur, has an entrepreneur reference, grab someone, lock arms with your sister. Forget about competing and comparing. Collaborate with your sister in spirit first, because that can save your life when you are scared, trembling in your stilettos. I was about to say boots.
Well, for me, girl, it would be boots. or at least my Birkenstocks, girl.
Our gym shoes.
I gotta have something I can kick off and get into a handstand.
Or barefooted. Hey, let's talk to the barefooted goddesses too.
That's me, barefooted goddess. Yes.
But lock arms with someone that you can talk to, because sometimes your mate, they can't detach and give you remedy and solution, or just listening, because they may enter into fear with you, or break down with you, or worry because you're looking at sustaining your household together. So that's one tip. I know that Sabira has more.
That is that is a really good tip. Listen, this for me is an opportune time. I want to give an invitation, a specific call, a specific invitation, because maybe you were an introvert like me, and I didn't have a lot of people to call upon. I was literally pretty much by myself in my laboratory every day, and I was supporting my clients. And so, LaTanya, when you and I started to, literally, had to be a good 6 years ago, because I remember I was in Toronto a lot of the time when we were talking. So it was a long time ago that this relationship, sisterpreneur, began taking hold. And so I want to invite any woman who is listening to us right now, if you are one who's an introvert and doesn't have those types of women in your circle, to come and join me and LaTanya and the rest of our Money Charm
tribe.
We have space for you. So just come join us. Lock arms with us. You already know what we're about. We put it all on the table.
And that's exactly what we're creating, because first we dealt with in our first series how to stabilize, to create some savings, something you can feel good about, to pay yourself first, to be able to create another stream of income. All of that we invited you to do in those first 4 weeks is the first step. Okay, because once you get your head in the game, then you're in it.
Yep.
You know, once your head is in the game and you feel like, okay, now I can map my way through. You know, we've done some needs assessments on these videos, but we're going to get deeper into that in the Money Charm Club. But where we're going in the second part of the Money Charm Club is to nurture these new businesses or existing businesses so that we can have a circle of spiritual entrepreneurs who are not burnt out, that you can go on the beach on one half of your day after you've done your work the other half of the day or the next half of your day, so that you can live a life and not have to take a vacation from it, vacate your life.
Your life, yeah.
That your lifestyle is interwoven. I mean, at a certain point, y'all, step number 2 is embrace not being employable. Why? You
love it. Love it. And the thing is that in the Money Charm Investment Club, in the Money Charm Club, it's not just philosophy.
No.
Talk about, oh, don't be an entrepreneur. Look, bottom line is you need solid steps.
Yes.
You need actionable things. What do I do? Step 1, step 2. What do I do? Who's going to go with me? Coaches, me and LaTanya, the rest of the tribe cheering you on. But you need to actually be able to create something, build something around your vision, around your idea, so that you can monetize it. And that is where the next step is what we can help you do, so that you don't have to just leave your job and not know, what am I going to do? You need to get clear on that vision. You need to stabilize yourself in terms of your self-care, be clear about who you are, what your vision is, and what it is you can offer, all the while taking care of yourself on all levels: financial, physical, spiritual, mental, emotional.
And I would close with 1/3 step. I just took over the steps today.
Oh, that's okay.
But embedded in there are other steps, actionable items, is business and pleasure. They do mix. Business and pleasure. I know we've been told that they don't, but they do. They are. How could they not mix? Why does LaTanya say that? So glad you asked. Business. Most of us are in business because we want to create income. Yeah.
And freedom. We want to have freedom.
Freedom, income.
Yep.
Unless you're in ministry, you know, where you're just in a service model. But even that can burn you out. How could you not embrace pleasure? The orgasm energy, sexual energy, good food or mouthgasmic food.
Music, girl. I love good music.
A good dance. Yes. A good sweaty. Yes. Dancing. A great workout.
Yep.
If you're carrying extra weight and sitting at the computer all day and then get up and just go to bed, you're taking it with you. So it does mix. Laughter, mix. It mixes. Not taking yourself so seriously. And also the toxic energy of competition after a while. Yes, you do need to know market evaluations, and you need to be able to know what's out there in the market already, and who's doing what you're doing, maybe on the who. But it does mix. It is an energetic force that absolutely does mix. And there is a new entrepreneur on the rise. Even Google has a model in their main offices where they mix business and fun. They were one of the first ones to do it. where when you go into their environment, they laugh, they have fun, you bring your dog to work, you bring your children to work. There's a semi-formatted playground. Silicon Valley with technology, many people are not doing this cubicle mindset, this cubicle expression, because they're realizing that people have to feel their purpose even if they're an employee. So if you're not working for a company that embraces that model, then you may have to create your own. And if you're an entrepreneur or you're a leader of a company, there's a difference between being a leader and a boss. Right?
Yep.
We cannot take our employee mindset or our insecurities into our business and think that it is healthy. And so even when we close out, both Sabir and I have had experiences with our health. There are times when, if we're not healthy, our businesses can't run. My mother reminds me all the time, hey, LaTanya, you're the sole provider. When you go and fill that out on your tax form, it's more than that. And that's why creating passive income streams is also important. And that's what we are still talking money charm. We're just talking money charm to spiritual entrepreneurs. You want?
Yes. And that's, the healthcare piece is so important. So, with the Money Charm Club, we have established a place and a process and a supportive environment for you women to do all of those things, to get yourself stabilized, to begin the process of paying yourself first, to get some wonderful and deep group coaching where you actually can look at your vision, where you can then put a system around that vision. But there are steps, and it's about being patient and understanding process. All of life is about relationship and process. So we want to offer you a very simple process and a really cool tribe that you can lock arms with some sisterpreneurs and, create that life that you want, that does give you time freedom and money freedom. And what I love, what is different about our message and what we're bringing, LaTanya, is that we're not promising you $10 million in 24 hours.
Yes.
We are telling you this is an organic process that requires patience and requires that you love and care for yourself and your family so much that you are willing to invest the time, the money, the energy into yourself, because you're worth it. You are worth your own time, money, energy, and attention. You're worth it. So on that note, LaTanya, I don't know if you have any closing remarks. Again, I just want to invite anyone to reach out and contact us. Our links are available. I'm easily reached. The most easy place to reach me is on Facebook. I'm always on Facebook. So reach out to me, become my friend if we're not already friends. And, let's just start the conversation and exploring what that could be like for you.
And I know there's some of you who've been watching each week and who are waiting to be put in the Money Club. We just need to have a conversation with each of you who have already said that you're ready, so that we can take care of step one to get you into the Money Club, which is the step one is not for us, it's for you. How many coaching programs or service programs do you go to where the investment is first for yourself? It's not for us. And so we will be in touch with you. We know that we kind of have a little waiting list. That's kind of cool.
It is cool. It is cool.
So this is the week that we'll be in touch with you, since we had an off week last week. And we thank you all for watching, for sending your comments, your inboxes, and for sharing it with your family and friends. We look forward to growing and expanding with you. Just remember to take care of yourself today. Do something really good, juicy, just luscious for you.
Come back next week on your lunch break. Next Tuesday, 12 noon Eastern Standard, right here on the Money Charm channel.
Yes. Have a wonderful day, everyone. Thank you for watching.